Rabbi Isai, good morning. Today's Shiur is sponsored Lili Nishmas Imi Rus Bas Mordechai. Amazing one here. This dedication is in honor of my son Meir's 10th Hebrew birthday. From Anonymous, Meir Ben Rivka Basha. It is my hope, wish, and prayer that the schus of this dedication will help him succeed in this critical step in his life as he will start to learn Gemara this year. Every year is important. All right, so Meir should have Atzlacha. This one is amazing, the second one. I see this morning. Oh, I could look over there. Gewaldig. Sponsored by the Saka family in memory of their beloved mother, Bahia Bat Shmuel Becky Saka. Today's their second yard site. Now, I don't know for sure. It's a very small world. I'm pretty sure that they're related to me somehow. My wife's first cousin, Tzvi Friedman, married Becky Saka. You guys... Salim, you remember Salim came to my house many, many times. Salim, he has a Salim, and Avram just had a wedding the other day. So they're related. So it's a very small world. The Tzvi Friedman from Detroit, the kids are, all right, I think it's the same family from Miami. I never knew they watched the Shiur. I'm assuming they watched the Shiur. No. What's this? No, Tzvi is my cousin. Tzvi's dear son-in-law. All right, Rabbi Isai, listen to this. This one is from David Brandis. I love this one. Good morning, Reb Eli. David Brandis from South Bend here. I haven't emailed in quite a while, but Baruch Hashem, been keeping with the Shiur. I want to thank you for everything you and the crew are doing throughout all the challenges we have had to face this year. We're now holding right around where I dropped off last cycle, and I'm glad to say that this time around, with the Shiur, I'm holding much stronger with no signs of slacking off. I enjoyed your Amud charts on Daf Amud Beis and attached a t-shirt idea for MDY to add for the merch section. It's amazing, Rabbi Isai, I love this. This is gewaldig. This is going to sell thousands. See this? I don't know if you can see. It says, if you do the daf, former Amoritz. It's gewaldig. All right. So thank you, David. That was great. What? It just needs nikudas. Well, we'll get it. Oh, you know what would be cool if you put the nikudas also under the English. Formal, yeah, whatever.
I think you have to put the picture of the Amoritz on the back.
That's already. That was a little risque, taking that off the internet like that. I usually have permission. That one, I had to go for it. With your Shiur, don't tell it. With your Shiur, may we there be many more former Amoritzim. Wishing everyone a ksivach sima toiva, David Brandis. Wow, gewaldig. Here's from our good friend Elchanan Pressman. You guys know Pressman. He presses the issue. Yasher for the magic show this morning. All that was missing is a top hat, wand, and a cape. Not. Your ability to not get creative and maintain my intention is more than $1 million picture book. It's priceless even considering you had to try twice to spear the apple. I'm just wondering, hoping that there will be more demonstrations forthcoming considering your announcement the other day. There will be a big break from showing charts. Well, what he doesn't chap is that week, that was a week ago, it's over. Charts are back today. As much as I enjoyed the show, and I really did, I hope it's not at the expense of, I think it means gearing up here for the Chumash here. So we so eagerly wait. It's forthcoming initiation announcement in Mr. Hashem. Not going to happen this year. If I don't write again before Rosh Hashanah, please accept this as a special bracha for New Year. Massive arbatzas Torah gizun parnas and menuchas hanefesh for you and your entire family. You should ask in our tefillas that if something needs to be catchy and needs to spread like wildfire next year, it should be your Shiur and not Corona. Amen. But birkas ksivach sima toiva Elchanan Pressman and family. Do we have time? One more, quick one. And here. Dear Eli, thank you for all your Daf Yomi Shiurim, especially like the live demonstration on the TV yesterday. I really look forward to listening to your Daf Yomi Shiurim. I hope that we get to see more demonstrations soon. Your Talmud Mordechai Sapaznik. And there were more like that. So Yishkoyach, thanks. Also not going to happen that often. Maybe. I actually was trying to do one for today. It's impossible. Too many of these guys, too many charts. All right, so today's Daf Lamed Gimel. We're holding Daf Amud Beis, Leiv, the children, the Leiv of the Shiur. So Daf Amud Beis, Amud Beis has a Mishnah that tells us that if you put an Eruv on top of a tree. If the tree is 10 tfachim, the Eruv is no good. And if the tree is less than 10 tfachim, then it's okay. Now, what do we say? We said the pshat is, and Rav Nachman said, oh, this is such a great pshat. Me and Shmuel, we said this pshat, we stuck it into the Gemara, became part of the Gemara. That what? We're talking about a tree that's in Rosh Hashanah, and the man is on the Rosh Hashanah, he's on the asphalt, the tree's above, and let's say we're talking about the case that it's less than 10 tfachim. The issue is, how could he retrieve the Eruv on Shabbos? You're not allowed to take something off a tree. The answer is, because it's only the Rabbanan to take something off a tree on Shabbos. And we're only talking about a very specific period called Ben HaShmashos. As long as the Eruv is Chal Ben HaShmashos, then it's a good Eruv to go. We don't care if the Eruv disappears after Shabbos comes in. So at that point, the Shabbos comes in, Ben HaShmashos, you're permitted to take something off a tree, because it's a suffix. It's suffix Yom, suffix Lailas, Ben HaShmashos. So to drive a car, you can't drive. And to move something from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, you cannot. But to move something off a tree, which is only Issa D'Rabbanan, and it's a Shvus, that's permitted. And Memela, it's a good Eruv. Omar Rava, comes Rava and drops an atom bomb here. Loi Shanu, 10 lines from the bottom, let's say. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines from the bottom. Loi Shanu, Ela bi'ilan ha'oimed chutz li bura shel ir. This whole thing that we just discussed is talking about, here's the city. Here's the Ibura shel ir. Ibura, from a lashon of pregnancy. Every city is allowed to be slightly pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 70 amos and a third, right? We had the 70 and a third from the chatzar. So that's all considered part of the city. All this is considered part of the city. So this is considered, so the whole shaila is, you see this tree? This tree is past this dotted orange line here. It's past the Ibura here. There's no problem. Why not? This is a great Eruv. The Masa Kiman de Malyadami. Says Rav, an unbelievable thing. He says that an Eruv, that the entire city is considered as if it's full. We pretend it's royin, it's ki'ilu. Remember the lashon royin? We imagine as if the city is filled to 10 tfachim. Everything is full to 10 tfachim. So Memela, when it comes to the halachas of Eruv, he's on top of 10 tfachim. He's already with the tree, with his Eruv. The whole issue is that he has to be kind of shvisa. He has to have a place on Shabbos. He has to settle down. He has to take up residence with his Eruv. Now, he's on the bottom. He's on the asphalt. And his Eruv is on top. So the Eruv is possible. It's not a good Eruv because he can't get to it. But you know what? He's in the same area as the Eruv. Why? Because we pretend that everything is full till 10 tfachim. There's a bunch of dirt. They came with a halachic dump truck and they dumped a bunch of dirt 10 tfachim high. And he's standing on top of the dirt. Now, if he's standing on top of dirt, could he reach over and grab that Eruv? Absolutely not. The Eruv is in Rosh Hashanah and he's in Rosh Hashanah. But in terms of halachas of Eruv, of him being in the same area as his Eruv, he's considered as he's in the same area. Why? Because the city is completely full. It's full of dirt, and he's within that. He's in the same area as his Eruv. That's Rava's bomb. Now, I have a riddle for everybody. Think about this for a second. Why in the world is this guy putting an Eruv on the outskirt of a city? You see, if you live here in the city, you get 2,000 amas from the city limits, starting from this orange line. So what did he gain by putting an Eruv right here? He gained nothing. If he wouldn't have put an Eruv, he would have the same amount of 2,000 amas. He could walk 2,000 amas from this orange line, going that way, away from a city, without an Eruv. So why did he put an Eruv? Orange line is 70 amas from the city. It's considered part of the city. You're allowed to walk 2,000 amas from city limits. So he's going to walk from this orange line 2,000 amas. Anybody have an answer? No? Okay, Rashi addresses the question. 1 foot away. So he's making his Eruv for 1 foot. So let me tell you, I'll tell you the answer and then you'll understand the question. Once you see the answer, very, very simple. This individual doesn't live in that city. He lives in a different city. He lives over here. And this city, I just made this picture. I put it together. So excuse if there's any problems here. So it's within Alpayim Amma. So let's say this city, from this city is, let's say 1,000 Amma, just to make everything simple. So he lives over here. He's allowed to walk 1,000 Amma into here. Once he reaches this city, he's allowed to go the entire city because that's considered one tchum. And now he puts his Eruv over here so that he could go another 2,000 Amas from this city. He wouldn't be able to go 2,000 Amas from this city because this is not a city. Okay, just a simple shot in the Gemara. Why does he have to put an Eruv? Okay, let's keep on moving. Is Menachem Ateh on today? Is he doing the charts? Yeah? Okay. Shkoyach Menachem. Good luck, because there are a lot of charts. And there's some charts that are not on the drive. If you want to look up, I have Choykikim from Daf Yud Aleph. I also have from Shabbos. I don't know if you have Shabbos Daf Mem Tes. We have the Agolois over there, if you want to look that up. Shabbos Mem Tes and Choykikim from Daf Yud Aleph. Anyway, sorry that I didn't give it to you before. Oh, he doesn't even have it on a picture, so it's not Negiyah. Okay. Says Gemara, Ihachi. So what does Rava say? Rava says, there's an afkemina. If I'm in the city limits, I am halachically standing on a mound of dirt that's 10 tefachim tall, because the whole city is as if it's 10 tefachim tall. You see these imaginary walls there. Everything is imaginary, so everything is filled up to 10. I'm on 10. So what if I place my Eruv on top of 10? But I'm in the same domain. I'm above 10 with my Eruv. But if I'm past the orange line, or orange line, any way you want to say it, then it's not a good Eruv. Asks the Gemara, why? Even if you're outside of that limit, let's take Rava and put him against himself. Look at this beautiful picture. I don't know if they meant for this, but if you look closely, a person, wherever he resides, wherever he takes up residence, he gets 4 amas. You see this imaginary box here. Everything's imaginary. He's within his box. And where does the Rishus go? All the way up to the sky. He has an imaginary Rishus HaYachid around him. So it goes up to the sky. So he's in the same domain as his Eruv. So who cares if he puts his Eruv above 10 Tfachim? Let's say he puts it above 10 Tfachim. He said you can't reach it because it's Rishus HaYachid. And his feet are on Rishus HaRabim. He can't grab it. Bein HaShmashos. But he's in an imaginary box that goes all the way up to the sky. So in terms of Hilchos Eruv, he's in the same domain. Who cares if his feet are on the ground? He halachically is in the same domain. Could he carry it on Shabbos? No, because he's in Rishus HaRabim and the Eruv is in Rishus HaYachid. But Behilchos Eruv, he's in the same domain. Look, he's in this box. Even if his Eruv is on top of the tree and he's on the bottom, look, they're in the same imaginary box. It should be perfectly okay for an Eruv. Says the Gemara, you're 100% right. If that was the case, you're right. What is the case here? Differently. We have a little problem with the branch. The branch, if you're looking at this picture, extends past the box. So you cannot reach it. It's past the box. Where he puts his Eruv is outside of the box. He thinks outside of the box. He put it over here. We're talking about a tree that its branch sticks out further than 4 amos. That's why he can't get it. So, and he meant to reside and take up residency or residence on the bottom, on the ground. So, above Yud Tfachim is considered Rishus HaYachid. Below Yud Tfachim is a Carmelis. So, Mela, it's a good Eruv. Why is it a good Eruv? Because from a Carmelis, I'm allowed to take it off the tree. I am not allowed to use a tree, but Ben Hashmashas I'm allowed to. And Mela, that's when the Eruv is Chal, and we're good. Now, he could move it, Pachis Medalad, even if it's... So, the Eruv is over here, outside of his box. How could he potentially move it over here? by moving it less than four amas, because it's only in a carbon. So you let him move it along less than 4 amas. Fine. Says the Gemara, umay lamala, umay lamata. So the Mishnah tells us a lashon. One is on top, one is on the bottom. Explains Rashi beautifully. If it's like this picture, which is not so accurate, sorry, and I'll show you why I think the other picture is more accurate, but I think the art scroll went with this picture as well, sort of, and I'm not so happy. Rashi explains that if we're talking about one branch that goes horizontal, then it doesn't make sense to use the lashon lamata ulamala. It's high and low. It's not above and below. It's high and low. It's one branch. One is higher up, one is lower down. It's one branch. Lamata lamala is referring like to 2 floors, to two areas. Says the Gemara, the hadr zakif, the branch takes a wild 90-degree angle turn, and memela it shoots right up. So here's a good picture, I believe. This is all under 10 tfachim. And it's nice and horizontal. And then it takes a 90-degree angle upwards. So now I have a lamala and a lamata. If I put my bread up here, it's lamala. If I put my bread down there on the first floor, it's lamata. Second floor is lamala. But if it was just one single angle like this, it doesn't make sense to say lamata and lamala. It's not below and above. It's high and low. Yeah, you maskim in Hebrew? That's how it would work? So Meir is maskim. I think that's the pshat in Rashi. Anyway, so again, we're talking about a guy has, you see this dotted yellow line? This guy has his makam, shvisa. The bread is outside of his makam. It's past the dotted line. It's on a branch that's outside of 4 amas, and therefore, if it's above 10 tfachim, he cannot get to it. Why can't he get to it? Because he's down here below. He's in Rishus HaRabim, and this is a Rishus HaYachid, so he cannot move it from Rishus HaRabim, from Rishus HaYachid into the Rishus HaRabim. From the Rishus HaYachid into Rishus HaRabim. Ask the Gemara Kasha, why not? What's the problem? You're right, he can't go downwards. He cannot go from Rishus HaYachid up here into the Rishus HaRabim. That's a problem. But why can't he move sideways? Let him climb up a tree. Bein hashmashos we're talking about. This is all happening bein hashmashos when the Eruv is chal. Let him climb up a tree and let him move his challah. You see the challah right over here? Let him move it sideways. Towards like the bark of the tree. What is this called? The trunk of the tree. Thank you. The trunk of the tree. And all this is Rishus HaYachid over here. What's the problem? Gemara comes up with a trick. How can I make this branch a Rishus HaRabim? Is it possible halachically all of a sudden on this tree in particular to make this branch Rishus HaRabim? Yes, there is a way. What? No. If people use this branch to unload their loads as they're walking by Rishus HaRabim, Rabbi Mekatim Olav, this branch turns into a Rishus HaRabim. So, says the Gemara, if that's the case, it's also for me to move a bread from here to here because I'm passing by a Rishus HaRabim right over here. Rabbi Mekatim Olav. Let's see the kasha inside. And there's a very interesting picture, but this is not for perverts. For whatever reason, the graphic designer decided to use a yellow dotted line. I'm not exactly sure why. So don't use your imagination here. Why can't the guy get his challah and come from over here to over here? Yeah, these Shiva Bachrim that are driving right now with Yisrael Goldstein to the mountains, turn off the radio. But anyways, here's the point. That's the point. You see, why can't the guy grab the challah and go this way? Says the Gemara. What happened was that the tree branch, he could have used blue, red, other colors. I think he was trying to, Shkoyach Nachman. Okay, whatever. The guys put their stuff down on the branch, down here. And Memela, this branch becomes Rishus HaRabim. We're talking about such a situation. If you don't have this situation, you're right. He can move it this way to here. And Memela, he cannot move from here to here. Why can't you move from here to here? So if you remember, Masechta Shabbos, we learned the sugya of the agalos. In the midbar, they used to transfer the wood, the beams of the Mishkan from one wagon to the other wagon. Each wagon is considered a Rishus HaYachid, but between the wagons you have this area that's a Rishus HaRabim. And Memela, it's usher to transfer something from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid if there's a Rishus HaRabim in the middle. And that's why in our case, it would be usher for you to transfer your eruv, your bread, from this area to this area if there's a Rishus HaRabim in between. Now, this doesn't count, this Rishus HaRabim, because you were talking about the branch over here. And this branch turns into Rishus HaRabim. Zog the Gemara. If he wants, he could transfer it above the tree, sideways. Why does he have to go downwards into the Rishus HaRabim? Zog the Gemara. Because many people unload their loads on it. We had this a number of times. If you have a beam that's 9 tefachim high, 9 is not Rishus HaYachid, and 3 is too low, it's part of it. But if you have a Alma that's 9, and we said over there, I remember now that we discussed, I think some Rishonim said it has to be exactly 9, it can't be a little bit less or a little bit more, but Mamish 9, it can't be 8. Because 8 is too low also, it's not so comfortable. People adjust their knapsacks on it. And you threw something and it landed over there. There's a Mamish Hanacha Chayav. So the Rabbim, they create a Rishus HaRabim on that tree. Okay. Now, we discussed yesterday, and we started off the Shiur.
Because of that, they have to be like a Rishus HaRabim?
That's why, no, we're talking about a specific case. They're going from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid.
How do you know that you could do it without being going over Rishus HaRabim?
Because nobody uses this tree. How many trees do you know that people unload their burden on it? Most trees are not like this. This is a very specific case. 1 in a million trees in the world that happen to be in the middle of Rishus HaRabim, and because the branch is so low and it's 9 tefachim tall, people use that branch. How many trees do you know like that? In the entire Ramat Ben Shemesh, is there a single tree that has a branch like this? So we're talking about a very specific case that you go from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid, V'Rabim Katvel, that's why the Eruv is no good. Otherwise, it would be okay because I could just grab the Eruv and bring it over into my 4 Amas domain. No?
How would you get it?
You don't have to. You could. If you could get it there, then during Ben Hashmashas I had the ability to do it, and Memele it's mutter. I don't have to do it. All this is theoretical. If you could do so and so, then it's as if the Eruv is in my domain. The whole Gemara's answer is that there's a giant branch that goes on a horizontal thing, it's mamish straight, then it shoots up 90 degrees. You're talking about a crazy case. And that's why, and it's outside of your 4 amas, such a giant branch, it's outside of your amas, and that's why it's not a good Eruv. But I have a way that it could be a good Eruv because I could climb up the tree and grab it. No, it's talking about that it goes 4 amas this way, it shoots up at 90 degrees, and people use it over here, and then Mela, that's why I can't use it. In that crazy case, says Rava, that this is not a good Eruv. That's it. It's a hechatimtza. So we said yesterday that we have to move. We have a very long daf here. And we're actually running out of time. Says the Gemara, I know Menachem Ateh told Noam this morning, I guarantee you, even though I didn't hear the conversation, I can guarantee you, one said to the other, I guarantee you Eli is going to mess up on the time. He thinks it's a short daf. And I know how these conversations go every single time. Anyway, right? Tell me. You didn't say it yet. Okay. Yeah, something that's obvious is not okay. Given. Yotza Bas Kol V'Amra, it's a given. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. So we decided, according to Rebbe, you're permitted to do something Bein Hashma. Lebezmani, Lebeshamayim, Lebezmani. Shkoyach. I don't know who said that. What is that? No. Okay. Shkoyach. We gotta go. It's already 41. 20 minutes to do a minute and a half. So yesterday we brought down Rebbe, we mentioned it today, that Rebbe holds that if there's an Issa D'Rabbanan, Ben Hashmashas, you're permitted to do it. So let's say taking something off a tree, moving your Eruv off a tree, Ben Hashmashis is okay. Driving a car on Shabbos on Ben Hashmashis is Asr. Taking something off a tree on Ben Hashmashis is Mutter. Rabbanan say it's Asr. Therefore, this tree that's below 10 Tfachim is not a good Eruv because you had no right to move that Eruv or move it to you and eat off of it Ben Hashmashis. My Rebbe, my Rabbanan, where is this Machlokes, the Sanya? Nisanoi be'ilan l'malama asara. Again, if you put we're just repeating the same case that we had before, you put your Eruv on a tree above 10 Tfachim. What kind of tree? This kind of tree that makes a turn and goes upwards, and you put it over here on top. It's out of your 4 Tfachim, out of your 4 Amas. Why? Because if it's in your 4 Amas, then you're in that bubble that we said is okay. If the Eruv is within this bubble, it should be okay according to Rava. So it has to be outside of the bubble. Okay, just bringing it up again. Not good. That's the sugi we just learned. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to grab the challah right off that branch. You see this low branch right over here? It's lower than 10. It's a good eruv, but you're not allowed to take the challah. Why? Because you're not allowed to use a tree on Shabbos. So why is it a good eruv? If you're not allowed to use a tree on Shabbos, you can't get the because Ben Hashmashis you couldn't get it. Ben Hashmashis you're allowed to, and all we care about is Ben Hashmashis. But now, practically speaking, you are hungry on Shabbos. It's a great eruv. You're hungry on Shabbos. You want to grab the challah. Could you eat it? No, because you're not allowed to touch a tree on Shabbos. You're not allowed to take something off a tree on Shabbos either. So it's a great eruv, just you can't use it. Besides shloisha mutalitoy, if it's so low to the ground, this branch is so low to the ground, it's within 3 tfachim, it's as if it's sitting on the ground. So then I could take it. That's not a problem. Nisane b'kalkala utloy be'ilan. What if you put the bread inside a basket? Here we go. Here's a basket. You put the bread inside a basket. Utloy be'ilan, and you hung it up on a pole on a tree. Even if it's above 10 tfachim, it's a good eruv, divrei Rebbe. Okay. So here we have the idea that Ben Hashmashis, if you could do it Issa D'Rabbanan, as we mentioned before, it's a good eruv. If you hold you can't do it on Ben Hashmashis, it's not a good eruv. Now we're talking about the case of a basket. So he puts his bread in a basket on a tree on a pole. Now, Chacham throw out a statement. Anytime you're not allowed to move it, it's not a good eruv. Where exactly? What are they talking about? If they're talking about a basket that you cannot use this as an eruv, so we had the sugya in Shabbos. Tzdadah means something that's attached to, not part of. I'll remind you, there was a tree that had a peg, and you put your ladder on the peg, so it's not really touching the tree, it's touching the side of the tree, the tzdadim of the tree. And there's a machlokes, asr, mutter, we paskin asr. As the Gemara, from here is a good raya, that tzdadim is asr. Rabbanan say, you can't use this basket because it's touching the tree. It's part of the tree. Ella aresha. So we must be talking about our case, that the tree branch is lower than 10 tfachim. And Chachamim say, what do Chachamim say in the case that the tree branch over here, right over here? What do Chachamim have to say about this case? I put an eruv below 10 tfachim. No good. You know why? Because during Ben Hashmashis I can't access my bread. Because it's Issa D'Rabbanan, and Issa D'Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, you cannot do Ben Hashmashis. So I can never access the bread as I'm making the eruv. Eruv is no good. Says the Gemara, what kind of tree are we talking about? If this beam, let's say this doesn't look so wide, it's not 4 tfachim wide. Makim Pturu. Anything less than 4 tfachim wide, it's not a Rosh Hashanah, it's a Makim Ptur. Memela Makim Ptur becomes batal to the Rosh Hashanah. In fact, it's 100% mutter. There's no even Issa D'Rabbanan. We learned. If a guy's on a skufa, if a guy's like on some sort of porch, that's a Makim Ptur. It's nishtahi, nishtaher. It's not a Rosh Hashanah. It's not a Rosh Hashanah. So I'm permitted to take something out of my house and put it on the porch. Somebody else is allowed to take something from the Rosh Hashanah, put it on the porch. We just said, don't be Ober Chacham and go and put it on the porch and then go to the Rosh Hashanah and take it off. That's all. But it's mutter to put something on the. Okay, so makom ptur is not a. We're not talking about a makom ptur here, because this tree would be part of the Rosh Hashanah and would be a good eruv. When does it become a not good eruv? When this is Rosh Hashanah and you're standing in Rosh Hashanah and I can't move it from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, then it's not a good eruv. But if this is a makom ptur, I could access my eruv. Perfect. Vitis be'arba. So let's say the tree has 4 tfachim. So it's a Rosh Hashanah. 4 tfachim makes it Rosh Hashanah. So what did I gain by putting it in a basket? I put it in a basket, so it's Rosh Hashanah. It's like holes in Rosh Hashanah. It's holes in the Rosh Hashanah. So I added to Rosh Hashanah a little bit. I put a basket in Rosh Hashanah, so it makes a difference. I'm not allowed to go from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, so who cares if I hung it in a basket? Just because it's all the way at the end of the sugya, so let me just say real quickly so we have some sort of reference to what we're going to say. The last teres in the Gemara, the last thing we're going to learn today, Be'ez Hashem, is that this is Rosh Hashanah, yes, but I want to tilt the basket into the Rosh Hashanah area. You see this peg over here? So I can move my basket downwards. So I'm going from Rosh Hashanah into Rosh Hashanah. That's one teretz. Says the Gemara, Amar Avinu, Reisha. 2 lines from the bottom. Amar Avinu, Reisha the Isbei Arba. You're right. The first part is talking about that we're four tfachim, it's a real shusam. Say for this case of a basket, the let's be arba. The tree doesn't have 4. You see, it's a very nice picture. The basket is curved out. The tree and the basket together equal 4 tfachim. It's a beautiful answer. Why? So, today's turning of the daf, sponsored by Asher, Lili Nishmas' mother, Rosa Bas Ben Yomin. Make it a great day. And by Dr. Listhouse, Mordechai Yosef, Dr. Listhouse, Lili Nishmas' father, Mordechai Yosef Ben Aaron. Is Yoel Bergman online? Anybody see Yoel Bergman? It's not like it. Okay, fine. Not for today. Says the Gemara. So we're talking about now, we're not done with the answer. It's a beautiful answer. V'Rebbe savar lo kirib Meir, v'savar lo kirib Yehuda. Rebbe must hold of 2 big shitas. Savar lo kirib Meir, and we had this throughout Shas, and we had it a number of times, and I'll remind you, in our Masechta alone, in Daf Aleph, we had this case. Of choykikim lahashlam. Could you put a mezuzah on a door that has an arch to it? So the answer is, if it has 10 tfachim, and it's 4 tfachim wide, in addition to the arch, then chaykikin. You take this circle and you pretend it's nice and square. And I put a mezuzah here. That's Rameir Shita of chaykikim. I pretend, halachically, that it's carved out. You carve it out. Chaykikim you carve out. Oh. So Memela says the Gemara, I'm carving out here. What's going on? I think this is the pshat. The bottom of the basket, well, the top of the basket has a hole in it. It's not a surface. So if you hold that you need 4 tfachim, you have to put your eruv on a 4 tfachim surface. That's a special shita, Rabbi Yehuda. So shita number 1 is that I need a 4 tfachim surface. But I don't have a 4 tfachim surface. Why? Because all I have is, let's say, 2 tfachim for a tree and just a hole in a basket. That's not a surface. So what I need to do is use the bottom of the basket. The problem is the bottom of the basket lines up with the tree, and the tree is not hollow. The tree is solid over here. So over here I do chaykikim. I pretend there's no tree over here. I chop down the tree right at this red line. There's no red line in that picture because I did it afterwards with a magic marker. So Menachem Ateh doesn't have it. The live guys have it. You don't. Oh, now they do. So there's a line here. I pretend there's no tree here, and now the basket and the tree line up, and there's a 4 tfachim surface where I could place my eruv. Rabbi Yehuda holds you need 4 tfachim, and Rabbi Meir holds I could do the concept called chaykikim together, a combination of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. I have a 4 tefach surface. So remember actually I used the slam dunk. It's probably the wrong picture. I hope I printed that one. I knew I didn't do it. Okay. Chaval. You know what? I have an idea. Maybe I could go to my computer real quickly. Sorry, guys. Because I believe I believe I took it out, just I didn't. And even if not, yeah, here we go. This is good. Hold on. You guys will be able to share my computer screen. Okay, for when I need it. Says the Gemara, it's a beautiful picture, Chabal, I don't have it. There's too many things going on this morning. You could carve out. So together with Rebbe that holds that you need 4, and together with Rebbe that says you could carve out, I have a perfect idea. My Rebbe Yehuda, where the Rebbe Yehuda says halacha that you need 4. This Anya Rebbe Yehuda Omer, Noatz koira b'rshus harabim ve'nicha ve'niach eruvay aleha gevaya asara uruchava dalad. Here, a guy puts a little pole here, but on top of the pole he has the proper surface area. He has 4 by 4 tfachim, but the bottom is a stick. The bottom is not the perfect area. What do I do? Says the Gemara, if it's 10 tefachim high and it has the surface area, it's a great eruv. And if not, it's not a good eruv. So if it doesn't have, then it's like hanging in midair. Says the Gemara, what are you talking about? Adrabah. Let's say this little stick doesn't have 10 tefachim. So where is it? It's below 10 tefachim. It's 8 tvachim, let's say the stick. So where is my Eruv now? In Rosh Hashanah. And where is this man standing? In Rosh Hashanah. It's perfect. That's a perfect Eruv. You're in the same, you're kind of shvis in the place of your Eruv. The non two Roshus, it's in one Roshus. The only problem is when it's above 10 tvachim that it goes into Rosh Hashanah. What are you telling me that if it's below 10 tvachim, it's a problem? That's not a good Eruv. The opposite. Below 10 tvachim is beautiful. It's a chidush that above 10 tvachim, it's a good Eruv. And why is it a good Erev Taka? Because we have Rava's bubble. Your area extends all the way up to the sky, even though your feet are on Rosh Hashanah, but Rava gives you a 4 amas area, and those 4 amas extend to the sky, so you envelop that Erev, you're both in the same area. Could I grab it off that pole? No, because the pole is Rosh Hashanah and I'm Rosh Hashanah, but I'm in the same area as my Erev, but if it's below, says the Gemara, you're right. We're not talking about the height, we're talking about the width. Gavoya asara tzorch sheberosh arba. By the way, Rashi brings here that it's like this boat that we said that even though on the top you have 4 tvachim, but on the bottom it becomes narrow, no good. You need the whole thing to be 4 tvachim through and through. Tzorch sheberosh arba. Now, if it's above 10, it's problematic. So then I have to say it has at least 4 tvachim surface on top. Ein gavaya sara, you're right. Ein tzarch sheyeh b'rosh arba. Then we can invoke, says Rashi, kuluto kemisha hun chodamya. Remember, we had that Shiur, I think it was Rebbe Kiva, I don't even remember who it was. Maybe Rebbe Kiva sounds familiar. Don't quote me on it. If you throw something, does the ground catch it in mid-air as if? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about even more. We're talking about there's a chala within 10 tefachim of the ground, not above, below, so the ground grabs it. The asphalt grabs it, and it's as if it's laying directly on the asphalt. Fine. Says the Gemara, Kiman, the like Rabbi Yossi. This halacha that we do chaykikim, we carve out, and it's not a Rosh Hashanah. The like Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, the sign Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda Omer, not kana b'shus harabim v'niach b'rosh traskel. If a person puts a beam, this case, right? But there's a better picture, I believe. What? Yeah, but the slam dunk doesn't work here. I might have been wrong in the slam dunk, and I'll show you in a second. The sign Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, I didn't want to bring it to not confuse the olam. This is the sugya we learned, and I brought a basketball hoop from the original game. Maybe it was one of the first basketball games. So there's a cut in Rosh Hashanah, and there's a hoop. The whole thing. Remember that? V'niach b'rosh traskel. He put a basket on top in the original basketball game. V'zarag v'nocha gabav, and he's throwing. Mamish, they're throwing things into the basket in those days also, and it landed on top. This Naimith guy, whatever his name was, the guy that invented basketball, he also had a problem. He had a basket. And they used to have a ladder, and every time they threw it, they made a basket. They had to climb the ladder and take the basket until they realized, wait, I could put a hole in the net. Okay, but that's what happened. Zorak v'nochal gabav. It landed over there like the original chayav. So, afilu tema, says the Gemara, it's very different. Afilu tema Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda hasam hadron mechitzta hacha loy hadron mechitzta. That's why I want to show you this thing here. So the Gemara understands. Here, I'll just go like this. Did I just ruin it? Here we go. Could you zoom in? It's not bad. Not bad. Here we go. So the Gemara understands that the basket, it might be upside down. And we could say the concept of good achis mechitzta. The walls around the basket extend downwards and create 4 tfachim around and around everywhere. Whereas in our case, there's only a basket on top of a tree. So now like this. So why don't they say good achas in our case? Right? So good achas means that the walls, even though it's narrow over here, but halachically we extend the wall of the basket downwards, especially if it's flipped upside down. If you look over here, this is the bottom of the basket, so the basket is flipped upside down. So the walls are pointing downwards, and when the walls are pointing downwards, it's a lot easier to do good achas mechitzta halachically. However, in our case, we can't say good achis mechitzta over here. Why? Why can't they extend the walls here? Explains Rashi beautifully. Because over here we want to invoke 2 halacha l'moshe mesinais, or 2 crazy halachas, 2 concepts. One of chaykikin and one of good achis mechitzta. To combine 2 halachas to make a reshus, a 4x4, that we're not going to do. Very interesting. You have to do chaykikin because I don't have a surface. So I have to pretend that this tree is cut down right over here. And I also want to pretend, so I had 2 pretending. To pretend twice, you can't pretend twice. You can pretend once. You want to do chaykikim? Great. Chaykikim, and now I have a surface of 4 tfachim, it's beautiful. But to say chaykikim, to take off the tree, pretend that the tree doesn't exist, and to pretend that my mechitzas of my basket go all the way down to the ground, no. There's a limit of how much we're going to imagine. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar, and now we're going back to another pshat in the sugya over there. Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar, Shani Kalkala. So, we have a basket on top of a tree. And we ask the question that if it's 4 tfachim wide, it turns into a Rishus HaYachid. Right? We have a tree over here, a pole, a tree. Mimman of Shach, says the Gemara. Is it 4 tfachim, not 4 tfachim? We just came off a teret, it's not 4 tfachim. Together with the basket, it's 4 tfachim in the whole situation, this whole amud. Says Rabbi Yirmiyah, no, another pshat. It is 4 tfachim. So what did you ask me? If it's 4 tfachim, it becomes Rosh Hashanah. If it becomes Rosh Hashanah, you just attach the basket to Rosh Hashanah. And what did you gain? So you attach the basket, so it's still in Rosh Hashanah. The answer is, I gained very nicely. I could take this basket and flip it upside down and go like this. It's called Naita. You hear? You see, Gary? You focused? I don't see it on the screen, but okay, they do. And I just took it from my Rishus HaYachid into the Rishus HaRabbim without moving the basket, without moving the bottom of the basket. It's on a hinge. It's swiveled nicely, boom, like that, downwards. And now I have access to my challah. Oh, wow. You want to zoom out and show them what it looks like? The Olam on YouTube, so they can see what the Olam here sees? No? Beautiful. And that's pretty much the end for today. We finished at 8:00. Hold on one second. Very good. So now you're going, fine. And that's mutter. This is something that you could do bein hashmashos, because even though it's a tree, you're permitted to move stuff on a tree bein hashmashos. It's a good eruv. Rabbi say 4 slichos. It's Daf Yomi. Every day Kesidron. So the Daf Yomi, what? Why can't they hear me? Why don't they hear me? But okay. Whoever could hear me, Slichos, we're not changing the timing during Slichos. Shiur is at the same exact time, 7:15. Motzei Shabbos, Shiur is at 9 o'clock. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. Have a great day.